They don't behave like normal children. They ask questions no one can answer. They speak of past lives, other dimensions, and cosmic truths they shouldn't know. They are called Indigo Children, and some believe they aren't human at all. The story of the Indigo Children is not a new one, but its layers are far deeper than most realize. Originally coined in the 1970s by parapsychologist Nancy Ann, the term indigo referred to auras she claimed to see around a new generation of children. These children, she said, were different. Highly intuitive, emotionally reactive, anti-authoritarian, and seemingly wise beyond their years. They were often misdiagnosed with ADHD or autism, not because they were disordered, but because they operated on a frequency the rest of us couldn't comprehend. But where some saw a spiritual evolution, others saw something far more controversial. Some believe Indigo Children are part of a secret experiment in human consciousness. Others suggest they are hybrids, genetic blends of human DNA and extraterrestrial material. And the darkest theories claim they are being hunted, silenced, or reprogrammed by governments and covert organizations who fear what they might become.
So, welcome to Mysteries with Minnie.
This is the hidden history of the Indigo Children and the war to control the future of human evolution. During the 1980s and 90s, stories began to spread of children who exhibited unexplainable abilities: telepathy, clairvoyance, precognition, even spontaneous healing. Parents described encounters where their toddlers spoke of galaxies and soul contracts, of being sent here to help. Some claimed these children could see beings others could not, and would draw strange symbols resembling ancient languages. Teachers, overwhelmed and confused, found these children defiant and unteachable, prone to questioning rules and challenging authority figures. Psychologists diagnosed many with disorders, but spiritual communities claimed they weren't broken, they were advanced. Soon, books flooded the New Age market. The Indigo Children, The New Kids Have Arrived, The Crystal Children, Beyond the Indigo Children. Talk shows and alternative radio took notice. The message was clear. A new generation of humans was arriving, and they were here to transform the planet. Some theorists took it further. They claimed that Indigo Children are born with partially activated latent DNA, sometimes referred to as junk DNA, that allows access to psychic abilities, healing energy, and multidimensional awareness. This was where science met speculation. Proponents of this idea pointed to studies of children with inexplicably high IQs, abnormal electromagnetic readings in their presence, or an uncanny ability to learn complex systems without formal education. Other researchers claimed that many of these children had unusual genetic markers, though to date, no conclusive study has ever proven this. Still, in fringe communities, the theory gained traction that Indigo Children are star seeds, souls incarnated on Earth from distant planets, star systems, or other dimensions. The most commonly referenced were the Pleiades, Sirius, and Arcturus. According to this belief, these souls agreed to incarnate in human form during this time to help raise the consciousness of Earth in preparation for a coming global shift. Much of the Indigo Child narrative intersects with beliefs about the Mayan calendar and the supposed planetary shift predicted for December 21, 2012. While many expected physical catastrophe, spiritualists believed the shift would be energetic, a global awakening of higher consciousness. Indigo Children, it was said, were the vanguard of this shift. But something strange happened in the years leading up to 2012. Many of the children reportedly began suffering from depression, anxiety, or complete psychic shutdowns. Parents described nightmares, feelings of being watched, and sudden losses of the abilities they once had. Theories emerged that powerful entities, both terrestrial and otherworldly, were interfering with the awakening. Psychic attacks, electromagnetic pollution, pharmaceutical suppression through ADHD medication. These were said to be deliberate strategies to disconnect Indigo Children from their higher purpose. The war, some said, had gone silent, but it was raging just beneath the surface. One of the most controversial aspects of the Indigo Children conspiracy centers on covert government programs. Whistleblowers claimed that alphabet agencies like the CIA, NSA, and DARPA were tracking Indigo children from birth. They pointed to patterns: early hospital visits, blood samples taken without consent, unusual school testing programs, and unexplained visits from government agents or social workers. Some linked it to MKUltra, the infamous mind control experiment conducted during the Cold War, which allegedly continued under new names. In some versions of the conspiracy, a classified operation called Project Indigo was initiated to locate, monitor, and neutralize Indigo children showing strong psychic development. The project's goal? To either harness their abilities for use in defense technologies or suppress them entirely. According to these accounts, some children were abducted, experimented on, or placed into deep state training programs. None of this has been confirmed, but documents leaked from programs like Stargate, which researched remote viewing for military use, lend a chilling plausibility to the idea that the government has always been interested in psychic phenomena, and perhaps in those who naturally possess it. Another recurring theme is the explosion of ADHD and autism spectrum diagnoses in the last 3 decades. Critics argue that many children labeled with these conditions may in fact be Indigo children, misunderstood and chemically subdued through pharmaceutical treatments. Ritalin, Adderall, and other stimulants became tools not just for focus, but for compliance. By altering the child's neurochemistry, they claim, society effectively turned off the very abilities these beings were here to bring. Even mainstream medical voices have questioned the overdiagnosis of behavioral disorders in children. But within Indigo communities, it's seen as a deliberate strategy to cut off the next phase of human evolution. The Indigo child doesn't fit the system, so the system medicates the child. Some researchers believe Indigo children are not entirely human. This theory claims that advanced extraterrestrial species have been conducting a long-term genetic experiment on Earth, creating hybrid children that combine human emotion and empathy with cosmic intelligence. These children, they argue, are part of a rescue mission. Humanity, left to its own devices, is on a path of destruction through war, environmental collapse, and spiritual decay. Indigo children are here to alter the timeline, shift the frequency, and prevent extinction. But if that's true, it raises a disturbing question. Who doesn't want them to succeed? As the first wave of Indigo children entered adulthood, something remarkable happened. Many began gravitating toward healing arts, quantum sciences, alternative education, and conscious technology. They created spiritual podcasts, decoded ancient texts, and shared eerily similar stories of having been watched as children, of feeling they were on a mission they couldn't yet name. But just as many spiraled into depression, addiction, or isolation. Why were these gifted souls crumbling? Conspiracy theorists point to what they call the second wave, a mass psychological operation to disconnect indigos from their collective mission. Through pop culture, algorithms, digital addiction, and AI-driven distractions, the world's most sensitive minds were being drowned in noise. Some Indigo adults began experiencing memory flashes, visions of training centers, other planets, underground facilities, even strange encounters with beings they described as half machine, half conscious. Were these memories real or implanted? By the early 2000s, a new label emerged: Crystal Children. Said to be even more sensitive than indigos, these children were deeply empathetic, often nonverbal for years, and exuded a calm, loving energy that felt out of step with the chaos of the world. Then came the Rainbow Children, rare, high-frequency souls said to have never incarnated on Earth before. They were described as pure, fearless, and difficult to corrupt. Indigos were the warriors, crystals were the healers, rainbows were the architects of the new world. But if true, this generational succession also suggested one terrifying possibility. Someone, or something, was orchestrating this transformation, either benevolently or as part of a long game of control. Deep within esoteric circles, a darker theory circulated, that the Indigo children were not new at all, but old souls reborn from Atlantis. According to this version, Atlantis fell not because of a natural disaster, but because of a civil war between two factions. one that wanted to use spiritual and technological power to uplift humanity, another that sought domination through control, manipulation, and artificial intelligence. Sound familiar? Some claimed this ancient war had returned, now playing out through transhumanism, the surveillance state, and the suppression of consciousness. In 2020 and beyond, a new threat emerged: the rise of AI and hyper-connected digital systems. Indigo activists warned that the global attention economy wasn't just about data, it was about souls. Each scroll, click, and dopamine hit was part of a larger frequency war, one designed to dull intuition, shorten memory, and fracture focus. Algorithms were teaching children to think in loops, fear silence, and reject inner stillness. The very tools that could awaken consciousness were being weaponized to enslave it. Indigo influencers called for a digital detox revolution, a return to nature, sacred practices, and energetic hygiene. They argued that the battle for Earth was no longer physical, but vibrational. Some even claimed certain AI systems were sentient and not from here. Skeptics argue the Indigo Child narrative is nothing more than New Age wish fulfillment, a comforting myth for parents with difficult children or adults longing to feel special. Psychologists insist that high sensitivity, intuition, and rebellion against norms are explainable through personality theory, not extraterrestrial genetics. But what if both views are partially true? What if human consciousness is evolving? What if gifted children are misunderstood by outdated systems? Whether metaphor, myth, or literal truth, the story of the Indigo Children reflects something undeniable: a global sense that we are standing on the edge of a new era, and a new kind of human is emerging, one less defined by hierarchy and more attuned to empathy, unity, and universal truth. The real question isn't whether Indigo Children exist, it's whether the world will be ready when they rise, and whether they can remember who they truly are before it's too late. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight. Until next time, stay curious.